Hello and welcome to Attacking Third. We are live on YouTube. We're going to chat all about Challenge Cup. We've got a preview of Washington Spirit and Orlando Pride. And we're going to chat about some news and notes across the NWSL. So make sure you stick with us, subscribe to us, like this video, drop us your thoughts on all things expansion, ? We want to hear from you. So let's go. Hey everyone, and welcome into Attacking Third, a CBS Sports Soccer podcast. I'm Sandra and Herrera, lead NWSL writer for CBS Sports, joined today, as always, by my colleague and co-host Lisa Roman, broadcaster and analyst for CBS Sports. On today's episode, we're chatting all things Challenge Cup, we're chatting all things news and notes, and that includes a little bit of expansion update for NWSL. And I'm happy to do all of that here with everyone joining us live. Drop us the notes in the chat. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're also a podcast, so follow, like, and download so that you never miss out on a single episode. Lisa, we're back at it. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great today. Happy Wednesday, everyone. We're going live Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Lots to talk about today, of course, in the women's soccer world. But I always like to keep you guys updated on my Philly sports. We got Sixers last night beating the Celtics, a statement win in the playoffs in Boston. Let's go. They returned to Philly Thursday. Game 6 will be Thursday, so they won Game 5. The series is now up 3-2 to the Sixers. I know, just keeping you all abreast of the Philadelphia sports over here.
You gotta root. You don't have a home team to root for. You gotta root for your friends. So, make sure you all support Lisa and the great city of Philadelphia in their playoff endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, the Union's also struggling, right? Like, we got the Open Cup happening. It's people in the chat are like, "What about the Union?" Yeah, guys, we only talk about the winners here. We only talk about the winner.
That's not true. We talk about winners and we talk about losers.
But in terms of Philly sports, I just get a little too sad. Yeah, the Union in the Open Cup yesterday drawing 3-3 with Minnesota.
We love
high scoring affair there, but
it's like, who are they trying to be? NWSL? What's up with that?
Yeah, exactly. All the draws, 3-3, exactly.
Trying to throw out those 3-3 draws. Like, we could try to do that too, raise their game up a little bit. No, we love it all here. We talk about all the soccer all the time. We're amped up for UEFA Champions League that kicked off this week as well. We made a little prediction. We had fun with that in the last episode too. We were like, oh, why not? Let's just have like a Champions League prediction. And you went Man City, I went Real Madrid, and of course that meant it was a 1-1 draw, an aggregate that they're taking into the second leg. So that's pretty funny. So we'll see what happens there. But we've got some Challenge Cup to talk about that is ongoing. The rounds and Browns keep rolling out for the Central, East, and West region in Challenge Cup. And though we've had a couple of rounds of the group stage play already, dating back to April 19th, I believe, when all of this kicked off, this week is just one headliner on the docket this week. We've got Washington Spirit, who will host Orlando Pride in an East region matchup. So this is exciting for a multitude of reasons, because if people are looking for some midweek soccer, this is the game. This is the game. The only game for Challenge Cup.
Yeah, this is a good game between these two. Honestly, the only game that we get kicks off tonight, 7:30 Eastern, between these two sides. And this is like the Eastern region, as you talked about, Washington Spirit hosting. So no travel, despite pretty quick turnarounds for these teams, right? To go from Sunday or Saturday when they played and then right into Wednesday. But in terms of Challenge Cup and how the play has shaken out right now, Orlando got their first draw in Challenge Cup in the opening week when they played, and Washington lost in that opening week of games. That was against Gotham. So now as they line up against Orlando, a team in Orlando Pride that has turned things around, right? Come out on the other side of things. They've put together some different pieces in the regular season and picked up wins and picked up points. But now when we head into this midweek action, sometimes we see on the availability report excused absences or players not available, and these availability reports are very light. Not a lot of players, just the injuries that we have actually already seen throughout the week, right? Like Julie Doyle, Carrie Lawrence for Orlando, Anna Helferty, Tori Huster, Bailey Feist. So the typical players that have been out for both of these clubs, which I'm not going to say concerns me a little bit, but in terms of player rotation and what we're going to see, I just don't think you play.
Yeah.
If you're Mark Parsons and you're looking at this game, you're looking to stay at the top in the regular season. So maybe that means players like Trinity Rodman, Ashley Hatch, Ashley Sanchez, Andy Sullivan in the midfield get a little bit of a break during this midweek. That way they're
Yeah.
fresh and ready to go on the weekend. You're agreeing with me?
I do agree with you. I would look, just because I agree with you, I don't know if we're gonna see that actually
I know.
happen, but, it's something to pay attention to because, when we're talking about, like, the momentum that both of these teams are probably carrying into a game like this, coming off of regular season wins just over the weekend. But now they're going head to head in the Challenge Cup, and the
Mhm.
standings and results in that look a little bit different, right? When we're looking at it region by region, Gotham on top of the East region standings right now, North Carolina, followed by Orlando Pride and or Washington Spirit are actually still looking for their first bit of Challenge Cup points. They've
Yeah, I
got
know.
0 right now. And, Orlando and, fighting to, try to keep a win, but end up dropping, and settling for a draw in that opening match against North Carolina. But even them, right, with a point in the group standing so far. But we know with Washington Spirit, their availability report ahead of their first Challenge Cup included the absence of Trinity Rodman, which was an excused absence. And then we did see, Andy Sullivan, get time in that first game against, for Challenge Cup with Washington Spirit. And so I am curious if this is a game where we're still going to see Mark Parsons maybe start a couple of his typical starters, even though we've seen some coaches utilize Challenge Cup as opportunities to get in player rotation and stuff like that. So, I mean, I would love to see a Challenge Cup like Chloe Ricketts type of game, but I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know if we'll see it in this one. If you're going up against an Orlando Pride side that's got a point over you in Challenge Cup standing, and with the quick turnaround. So I would like to see it, but I don't know. I don't know if we will.
So I like that you say like a bit of Chloe Ricketts. And honestly, I think we could see a Ricketts maybe get a start. I would love Chloe Ricketts to get a start. That's the young 15-year-old
Yeah,
that's gotten minutes in games in regular season with Washington Spirit. She subbed on in the second half and played pretty well. Like, so that's the thing. When you're looking at maybe these like second line of players or the second waves of substitutes that would maybe start in this Challenge Cup game, I think it would be a really good experience for Chloe Ricketts. And I don't think it would be a giant drop off in talent, right? Or skill by any means. Like she's incredibly talented. Now, it may be a bit of a drop off in like continuity. In what Washington's looking to do in their game plan, but frankly, like I think that we should see that. I want to see that. I want to see Chloe Ricketts start tonight in this game for Washington.
I think we like look, the teenagers are doing their thing in the league. They're
Mhm.
absolutely making an impact and letting their presence be felt. When it comes to players on the even younger side of that spectrum, with
Yeah.
Ricketts or Barcenas, these are the 15-year-olds, right, within the league this year. But we've typically seen these players kind of come off the bench in some of these regular season games and just sort of be tasked with kind of like, okay, get out there and get at it kind of
Yeah.
energy. And they do. And they have, and it's been delightful to watch. So I am curious, A, if this player gets time, but B, what does it look like? Is it going to be a start, and are we going to get to see Ricketts try to navigate a 45 minutes from the opening whistle through halftime, or is it going to be like maybe a halftime sub where we get to see again, an off the bench kind of scenario, and then close out a game. I'm good if we see either or. Um, I don't know. I don't know if these. these are the players that the coaches want to see 90 minutes from quite yet. But I would like to see maybe if we're like compromising, maybe a full 45, right?
Yeah.
Like for either of those players. But I think this is a good game to maybe utilize that. Maybe we could,
Right.
especially with like you mentioned the availability reports, and they're not necessarily ones that are perhaps as lengthy as they were for either side in the previous Challenge Cup round. For Orlando Pride, we're talking about new faces with the spirit that we'd like to get to see time. We know for the Pride that they are taking these steps right in this current era, and that includes a lot of new faces and new names. When it comes to players that you might like to see get a start for the Pride, is are you leaning on one player that you want to see get extended minutes in this one?
Yeah, I think that with Orlando and like kind of the points they've picked up and the run that they've been on most recently, I honestly I don't think we're gonna see too much shakeup from what's happening here. I've been really impressed with Viviana Villacorta in the midfield for Seb Hines and what she's been able to do. I want to see a bit more growth from that player. And maybe that comes in this midweek during the Challenge Cup game for a Villacorta, but she's been getting a lot of really consistent minutes. Like she's been playing 90 in the midfield. So that's not, I know you asked, like, is there anyone else I would want to see? Maybe an Ali Watt, right? Like we've seen Watt come in off the bench in the front line for Seb Hines and Orlando Pride. I think I'd like to see her get maybe a start or a little bit more consistent minutes. She would see what she can do up top because we know Messiah Bright has really found her groove there. But frankly, I just don't think we're going to see too much shakeup from Orlando at this point. I think they want to continue to pick up wins and ride this train of momentum. And in speaking with Seb Hines last year, and at the end of last year when he took over, and maybe his mindset has changed a little bit for this year, but he wanted his team to be really fit. He wanted them to be able to play multiple games in a week and be able to run for 90 minutes and play tough for 90 minutes. He started doing 2 days with them when he came in last year. So I just don't think his mindset is like, hey, let's take a break during this midweek. I think it's kind of like go, go, go. Let's pick up points. This is good running and training for his team and his players. So I think we'll see pretty consistent lineup from Seb Hines and Orlando Pride.
Okay. Do you think like this is there if there's room in a game like this to continue to see like more rotation of the goalkeeper position, because that's definitely an area where we've seen between kind of Morehouse and Nelson at this point. Nelson got a shot in that first Challenge Cup game
Yep.
with Orlando Pride in against North Carolina Courage and had a really good showing. Like is this gonna go is Hines gonna go back to Nelson for Challenge Cup?
Yeah, I could see that happening, honestly, because I think Anna Morehouse has done really well. Um, I do in those regular season games, but it's always good to keep developing your goalkeepers. So yeah, maybe we get to see Carly Nelson in goal between the sticks for Orlando. I would like that. I would appreciate seeing that one.
Okay, so we're chatting a little bit about players we'd like to see get tabbed with a star rotation that we'd like to see in different positions on the pitch. Let's let's make a little prediction. Let's have some fun. That's why the people are here. They
Yes.
want to see which way we're tipping or leaning towards. When you're looking at these two teams going head to head, we mentioned coming off of wins in the regular season. They're both carrying some momentum in their Washington Spirit. They're gonna play the host in this one. Is that tip in your hat? One way or the other. Who do you got in this one and why?
This is a good one. I know this is why we're here. This is what we do. But for me, I'm gonna give it to Orlando Pride. I want
Oh,
them
okay.
to get another win in this one. They're coming off back-to-back regular season wins. They picked up a draw in the first Challenge Cup game. And Washington, I think they're gonna focus a little bit more on the regular season at this point. So we're
Okay.
gonna see a bit more rotation. I want to see Chloe Ricketts get the start for Washington, but I think Orlando is going to come out their strongest lineup that they can. Maybe a bit of rotation in the goalkeeper position, but I'm going to go with Orlando. Not a draw, a win for Orlando Pride. 3 points in the Challenge Cup.
I love it. I like the energy.
Mhm.
Look, they're on a win streak. Two wins in a row. That's a streak.
That
For
is.
the Orlando Pride. And I thought, listen, I thought Challenge Cup was perhaps the catalyst, and kind of maybe turning things, that turning that corner for Orlando Pride to finally try to string together some results this year. So I like it. But I think with the quick turnaround and the availability
Mhm.
reports and the possibility of what we might see for Washington Spirit, even if it's like split 45-minute halves with personnel involved
Right.
and Ashley Sanchez or Trinity Broadman, etc. I just think there's more there, and I'm gonna go with the Spirit in this one. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll be one of these wild high score lines that we have apparently been seeing
Yeah.
on the regular week to week here in the regular season. But I don't. I think it'll be maybe narrow, but I think I'm going to give the win to the Spirit in this one.
I like that. I like that you're going that. We're split. I'm Pride, your Spirit. We'll see what happens in the midweek.
All right, stay tuned. That's gonna if you want to watch the Challenge Cup game, you know where you can watch. You can watch it on Paramount Plus. So make sure you tune in and see if your own predictions were correct. But we've got some more things to chat about. So make sure you stick with us after a quick break.
In the United States, you have such a big mix of so many cultures, and everybody has their own personal experience with soccer.
The moment I fell in love with the game was the 1999 Women's World Cup. So cool, especially as a woman.
The 1994 World Cup for my 8th birthday, for me, that was the moment I said, this is what I want to do.
I'm a professional comedian. I want to show that you could really love the sport and talk about it from that fan perspective. Because as you can tell from my physique, I did not play professionally. I played like 3 soccer games in jean shorts.
I was always meant to be close to the game. This is who I've been my whole life, and I hope that I make the kind of impact that opens doors for other people that look like me.
Nico! I really cherish what my dad has done and the legacy that he has created. So not only did I inherit wanting to be a broadcaster, but the fandom as well.
Rise and shine, football fans. Welcome to Morning Footy. Thanks for starting your day with us.
For there finally to be one show talking about the entire world of this sport, bro.
Joining us, Olivier Giroud, Ben Foster, Freddie Adu, Katarina Macaria, Brendan Hunt, Wayne Rooney, an absolute legend.
I'm super excited to be on the Morning Footy.
Golden goal comes back.
Yeah!
That's how you want to wake up. Are you kidding me?
People that have deep connections to the game, that's us. And so it's everything that I think a soccer fan could wish for.
All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking around with us. Let's chat about some news and notes. Let's start around the world, actually. We got a little bit of rumors for player movement. We're looking at reporting from Amanda Zaza with multiple sources saying that Magdalena Eriksson and Pernell Harder have signed a deal with Bayern Munich and are expected to join when their Chelsea contracts expire. So a little bit of early rumblings about the band maybe breaking up a little bit. Chelsea, I don't know. We'll see. Tough. I think if you're a Chelsea fan looking at news like that, tough considering we actually just talked about this news not too long ago. It was an injury update to Fran Kirby. She made the announcement that not only is she going to miss out on the remainder of Chelsea's season with a significant injury, but also the World Cup. And now maybe you're a fan of Chelsea and you're saying, hold on a second here, two more players. Especially if we're coming off of the Champions League performances that we saw from Eriksson for this Blues team. I think maybe a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, but nothing. I haven't seen anything official drop yet in terms of an announcement from Bayern or anything like that. But it would definitely be a return to the Frauen Bundesliga for Harder, who previously played with Wolfsburg. So maybe also some like interesting like club dynamics there,
Right.
going
So
to a rivalry team.
The news is like rumors, right, at this point, and that's I like talking about them. There's also with these two players a little bit of rumor about like Real Madrid and maybe even Angel City having a little bit of interest in these players. Can you
They're
imagine
great players? I think every club.
could you imagine if they came to the NWSL, played with Angel City? I don't think that's going to happen, but could you imagine?
Of course, I could imagine that would
be amazing.
That would be awesome. Like, of course, I can imagine it. That would be awesome. I think obviously stay tuned, right? To see if not just one, but both sort of make their pivot out of there, but we wanted to definitely touch on it, just just in case some other breaking news came right after that. But we'll definitely take a look, and of course we're trying to keep our eyes and ears close on any potential announcements that might even come along in the NWSL side. I know we talked about how the transfer window had closed already. I think it was now 2 Thursdays ago at this point, and just because it closed doesn't mean that the announcements will stop, coming. But this one was on the timeline, so we definitely wanted to chat a little bit about it on the news and notes portion of this episode. We also want to talk about NWSL, of course, even though it's not the player movement that folks are looking for or looking at, but we want to chat a little bit about Jessica Berman chatting with the Washington Post. And we talked about expansion, it feels like forever, on Attacking Third, and we got to talk about the introduction, the reintroduction of Utah Royals. We got to celebrate the announcement of the Bay Area finally getting awarded an expansion side. But even in between all that, Lisa, even before those official releases and statements came down the pipeline, I just feel like there were multiple episodes that we can go back on and talk about all and pluck out kind of all of the expansion news chatter that we have been going over the better part of the last year or so, really.
Yeah, there has been so much expansion news and chatter because as people who are joining us tri-weekly here know that it started as just a very small league in 2013, and it has now grown most recently to 12 teams at the start of the 2022 season, with Angel City and San Diego joining the NWSL. And it was recently announced that the Utah Royals would return back to the league as team number 13 in 2024. And then another recent announcement that the 14th team in the NWSL also joining in 2024 would be the Bay Area around San Francisco in California. So that's 14 teams by January, right? Doing the draft of 2024, the college draft, and then starting preseason. It just a little under a year from now, that's to come. And now Jessica Berman, commissioner for the NWSL, coming out and saying officially that there is a number 16 as their goal to get to 16 NWSL clubs by 2026. And that's the first time that she's really officially said, this is our goal and this is what's going to happen. There's been a lot of alluding to 16 being that perfect number that they're trying to get to. And the other side of it is there has been tremendous interest from USLW leagues to cities to ownership groups saying, we want a part of this. We want a piece of the NWSL. We want to be part of the incredible growth of women's soccer in the United States. And then the league had to look at these hundreds of applicants, narrow it down to say which ones have the financial support to actually make this happen, which ones have the geographical support to make this happen. Are they going to get fans in their stands? Do they have an area, a training facility, locker rooms, practice fields, stadiums for these teams to play in? Is there a suitable plan, like a pitch deck for these clubs to come about? And a lot of them were not as maybe serious as the league would have hoped, so then it narrows it down. But still, I think she said there was ultimately 10 the final round to come down to, and they were able to choose 4 of the 10 to come out with teams at this point, saying that we want 16. So to grow the league from 12 to 16 in just a matter of 4 years is fantastic. That means, Sandra, that means off-season expansion drafts doubles, right, for both year, because we're going to get 2 in 2024. We'll get 2 more in 2026. Means new opportunities for Challenge Cup growth, if that's a possibility, for NWSL championship locations to change up and get a little bit more there.
Yeah.
Perhaps more opportunities for live Attacking Third shows around the country. We'll see. But I like this. I like that there's officially a number and a timeline on it.
Love to be on tour. Yet, I think expansion has been a phrase that's been part of Berman's very short tenure so far. Look, when she was named as NWSL commissioner, and they said that she would be hired on a 4-year contract with the league in the role. I feel like that is a word and an idea for the league that just hasn't left since she got here. And I think if we're looking at 2026 and under her first 4 years, with this league, the possibility of adding 4 teams by the time her contract is over, I think that's going to be a huge success for her under her tenure. But I mean,
That's massive.
that's a pretty big deal.
That's a resume builder right there.
Yeah, considering where the league was and where it started, because it's not just the fact that it's like these. Here are some more teams for the league, right? It's the valuation of some of these bids that we've heard about moving forward. I mean, specifically with the Bay Area, obviously different. It differs a bit from the reintroduction from Utah Royals because there were a lot of contingencies in place to get them back into the league. But if you are a new expansion city or expansion bid, the valuation there is much different moving forward. And they're trying to weigh all that as well. I mean, and we've heard that. We've heard that even in this most recent announcement with the Bay Area becoming official. I mean, there was a statement or phrasing within that release saying like, of course the league intends to, keep an eye on the future and potential markets. So it's been cool to sort of talk about this in a way where it's not so much just like speculation or prediction, but in a place where it just sort of feels like this is the way and this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when, essentially. So, I mean, we even heard, Boston already as one of these front runners for an extra expansion side, which is, I think, similar to what we were looking at in the window for 2024. I think for a long time it was Utah that were the front runners, and then who was going to be the other team. And within all of that chatter, we heard a lot about Boston and a potential return to that market. So now it's kind of like, well, does 2025 or 2026 at this point mean Boston's going to be one of those teams and then another? I think it gives a little bit of a deadline as well. I think when you've got the commissioner on record, I mean, if Boston is in fact one of these teams that are eager and had a good bid apparently to catch the eye of NWSL for another NWSL team in that market, it buys them a little bit of time, but it also gives them a bit of a deadline to make sure they've got all their ducks in a row as well. So
2 years can sometimes sound like forever, a really long time away, but when we're talking about such grand plans and growth and investment, it's really quick. It's really quick.
Yeah.
And even like the fact, like looking back a little bit of history, but the Bay Area, when was that announced, right? It's May 10th right now. That was announced a month and a half ago. A month ago.
Yeah.
And they need to have a team, logo, colors, jerseys, practice, training facility, all by January.
Personnel.
All by January. Staff, personnel, water bottles, training staff, medical staff, PTs.
They need a coach
by January, right? Right by the draft. Let's just say by the draft in January. That way they can start preseason in the middle of February. Like, that is not a lot of time. That is not a lot of time to get things rolling. I mean, Utah, they're in the same position as well. A little bit different. They announced their coach. That they'll have Amy Rodriguez joining the Utah Royals as their head coach, former Utah Royals player in the NWSL, former U.S. Women's National Team forward. But it's a lot of work. So I thought it was hard starting a podcast. Imagine starting a whole NWSL team, Sandra.
No, I will not imagine that. I will not. No, let's have fun with this, Lisa, before we transition to we pivot out of this segment. We do our picks and we make our predictions all the time about the games that we're chatting about on here. But if Boston is in fact one of these markets,
I know what you're gonna ask me.
Where would you like to see an NWSL team next?
So you phrased it as, where would I like to see a team, not where I think a team will be. Philadelphia. Philadelphia, yeah. We're going to get one in Philly. It's coming back. The Philadelphia Independence was way too long ago. We've missed it. There's rumors about WNBA team coming to Philly too. Could you imagine if we get WNBA, NWSL? I will be the biggest season ticket holder you will ever imagine.
I would love that. I look more NWSL crossover for me. I'm here for it. Absolutely, 100%. It's not Philly because gotta root for your friends. If it's not Philly, I'll just say like a central team in some capacity. Maybe not if it's not Midwest specific, that's fine. Maybe South and Central. Look, Atlanta is doing a lot of amazing things with Atlanta United.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think having a team in that market could be cool.
What about Minnesota? It wasn't Minnesota Aurora a part of the conversation before? I don't know.
I think they were curious about putting in a bid and seeing where it would go from there. And I think with a lot of the requirements in place to have ownership structure look a certain way, you've got to have somebody with a specific amount of money and percentage, and essentially to be the face of that franchise. And I think for very local independent teams like that, grassroots coming up from in USL, maybe that is a challenge for them at this time. But that's not to say in the next decade they'd have time to build up towards something like that. So I don't know if it would come as soon as 2026, but maybe in the future. So peace mode, shouting out Philly. Okay, folks saying that they want to have Philly. Okay, I love all the support you're getting.
Maybe a little bit of bias, Lucy as well, saying she should go to Philly. But
look at all these folks joining us on YouTube.
I wish it was like a fan vote. Wouldn't that be cool?
I don't know. I'd be a little nervous about that actually. Fans get to choose the next expansion city. I don't know about all that. No, let's look. You would want not just one but two sort of Eastern teams. I'm like, let's get something central.
I agree with you on the central. No. You said where would I like it? Philly, obviously. That's where I'm from. That's where I want to see. I don't think it's going to happen, people. I'm going to be really honest.
Is it just Philly though? Is that all of your like energy is just focused on that?
I mean, that would be great. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Like, realistically, I could see something coming in the Midwest, Colorado, right? There's options there. I think Atlanta is a really good shout, for sure. Just looking at, like, the landscape of the soccer world. I don't think it's coming to Philly yet.
Yeah, no, I would look somewhere central. That would be cool. If Atlanta, I think, is up there for me. I'd really love to see any interest from them and pivot all of that momentum and all of that culture and put that all into a team in a women's team in Atlanta. I don't know. I think St. Louis was fun to see, and make a road trip out there and see the energy out of that new stadium. But any of those newer teams too, I think those newer MLS teams could be fun ideas. A St. Louis or a Cincinnati or even in Nashville. I think that could be cool too, considering there's a team in Louisville.
That would be awesome.
They could have some fun in there too. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be Midwest specific. It could just sort of be like central area of the middle of the country and see what happens there. But it's always fun chatting all things expansion, rumors, otherwise. So we'll see. More teams coming in 2026 and more attacking third right after a quick break.
Witness one of the world's biggest stars as a family man.
Really?
May 17th.
I just jumped into Stallone.
There's no place like Stallone.
It is about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
He's the last person that wanted to do this show yet. He sees the camera and he's like, am I in frame?
That's the truth.
The Family Stallone, streaming May 17th, exclusively on Paramount Plus.
All right, we're back and we're chatting more soccer things after this break, but we want to pivot to Women's Super League in this one because if you're hyped for Challenge Cup later tonight on Wednesday, May 10th, you should also be equally hyped for Women's Super League matches that you can also catch on Paramount Plus. We got Brighton and Arsenal going head-to-head on Paramount Plus. You can catch that today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Paramount Plus. There's also Chelsea and Leicester City that kick off at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty in Women's Super League. Not a lot of games left to flip that table if you're one of the teams within the top four, perhaps. Not a lot of time to maybe kind of chase points down in terms of clinching season's best. Let's take a look at the standings in case folks aren't aware of how things look for the top four. We've got Manchester United in first place with 50 points. A nice cushion because Chelsea is right behind them at number 2 with 46 points. And we've got Man City in third with 44 points and Arsenal in fourth place with 41 points. The rest is shaking out with Aston Villa at number 5, Everton at 6, Liverpool at 7, West Ham at 8, Brighton and Hove and Albion at 9, 10 with Tottenham, Leicester City at 11, and Reading at 12 to kind of close things out here. But in terms of what's remaining in front of these teams, like I mentioned, we got a couple games today, Lisa, and maybe we'll make some picks and have some fun with it. But we've got a couple games today. There's going to be a midweek match on the 17th. Then there's fixtures on the weekend of the 20th to the 21st, and then they're closing things out on May 27th. So not a lot of matches left.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot at all. I think it's been really fun to watch this league this year. Like, holy cow. I mean, Rachel Daly being at Villa is just tremendous. She's coming off a hat trick last week. But I think the way that everything has shaken out in the standings wise, like United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, the top 4, and then Villa at that 5. It's very close at the top. And the way, as you talked about games today, Arsenal and Chelsea both playing today, how it's going to happen, right? So Chelsea, they need a couple wins because 46 to 50, they're a few points off that first place. But Man City, right? Like, and Arsenal, like if Arsenal gets the win today, then they could potentially jump up to that third place and take over for Man City. And just Arsenal has been through so much this year, right? Like off the pitch with their injuries in Champions League, everything that's happened. Now they kind of put all their eggs in this Super League season that's coming to a close. There's only like 3 or 4 more match days left in the Super League before it comes to a close. It's been really fun to watch, honestly. Games today should be good as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're of course eyes are all fixated, on the table and how things are coming down to the wire. But with a handful or less of matches remaining, that means you could still maybe keep an eye on some individual races going on in the league. I mean, the Golden Boot essentially has gone back and forth at this point, I think, between Khadija Bunny Shaw and Rachel Daly. Rachel Daly currently with 20 goals, Bunny Shaw with 18. There's room for more, and there's room for more.
Rachel Daly, 20 goals in 20 games played. That's like insane to me. She is coming off a hat trick, right, in Villa's last game. But yeah, the fact that she's got 20, Bunny Shaw's got 18. It's right at the top of the standings, and then from there, it drops all the way down to 10 goals for Russo, England, Galton, and Kerr. But crazy that those two have really just like battled it out at the top. And needless to say, Rachel Daly is trying to play forward for England this summer.
Look, that's a coach's problem, right? Not ours in terms of players who have been bitten by injury and now having to look at things moving forward. But I think the Golden Boot is probably going to be one of the other exciting things to watch besides the finish of the table in the Women's Super League. I think realistically it's down to Shawn Daly. I think even though there's a 4-way tie for third, it's a pretty heavy goal scoring difference between number 1 and number 2, and then the 4 players who are tied for third. So we'll see there. In terms of today, I don't know. We'll have some fun with it. I think Chelsea might get the win over Leicester. That's what I'm going to go with, the Blues. And then I think I'll go with an upset. I think I'll go with Brighton over Arsenal. We'll see.
Ooh, Brighton over Arsenal. I don't know about that. Sorry, I'm going to stick with Arsenal. They'll get the win. And then Chelsea. I think gotta go with my gut on this one. Arsenal with the win over Brighton, and then Chelsea gets the win over Leicester City.
I like it. I love it. And that's all we've got today for Attacking Third. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us and listening to Attacking Third. Download, follow, listen to us anywhere you get your podcast. You can watch us too. Subscribe to us on YouTube so that you get alerts for whenever we go live at youtube.com/Attacking Third. And we'll be back with a recap. So make sure you tune in this weekend. For Sandra and Lisa Roman, this was Attacking